Mike, tonight's going to be the first episode of More Pain to be delivered by the magic of fiber optic. How are you?
Fiber optics, all right.
Yeah,
That's like when you go in the back of Spencer's and they have those funky lights next to the Led Zeppelin posters.
exactly. Thank you, Jack White, for the fiber optic Jesus. You're familiar with that song?
Yeah. It's funny, fiber optics. Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
but
that's
we've got
cool. Let's do it. Ring it in. Fiber optics. We're on fiber optics. We're on Google's Backbone on YouTube. Anything can happen.
right. The thing that's
Somebody will
interesting
shoot
about
a
this,
flaming arrow through the window. Take me out right now. One of these hobos at Google, whatever the
I
hell
hope.
it's called.
I hope that
Yeah.
doesn't happen. We don't want any flaming arrows to take you out. Some people are
This is
annoyed
a
when I
Ted
talk
Nugent
about the
concert.
technology, but I think it's important, Mike, because the reason I did this was our conversations were one of the inspirations for it. You've got a great internet connection over there. I don't know if people realize this. If they haven't been to Philadelphia, it's a super wired city. It's like kind of like going to South Korea because there's just so much great internet around Philadelphia thanks to Comcast basically running the joint. But this allows us to be more interactive in the conversations. You look better, you sound better. It's good.
Well, yeah, and Comcast has an extra package I got. It's like 6 hamsters on a wheel for that little extra power we get going. No, Comcast has been big around the city. Of course, they own all the sports teams. Nobody's really won a championship since Comcast took over any of the sports teams, but that's another story. Except for the
Yeah.
Eagles, but they're not owned by Comcast. So
Right.
the rumor around Philly was, see, Comcast built this new building, and it looks like a thumb drive. It's ridiculous
Right.
looking. And it's this newfangled building. The rumor was that William Penn has a curse over the city because he used to be the tallest building. He sits atop City Hall. There's a statue of William Penn. And that the city is now cursed. The sports teams are now cursed because William Penn has to look up at other buildings. So he's kind of mad about things. That's
Right.
like what's going on in the city. That's what they're worried about, you know.
That's,
William Penn is pissed off.
hey, you don't want these dead guys to be pissed off. But tonight, Mike, we're going to be talking about a bunch of different things. Yeah, I have seen this thumb drive building in Philadelphia. We're going to be talking mostly, once we get to the sponsor exclusive show on patreon.com/truepundit, patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth, and subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth. We're going to turn our attention to this strange phenomenon by which the FBI, the DOJ, the people in charge, they seem to allow disgusting perverts and pedophiles and pimps and things like that to kind of like roam around and do whatever the hell they want for a really long time. And then they have people like Phil Haney, who was a DHS whistleblower. He worked with Laura Loomer in their investigation of Keith Ellison, who unfortunately won the election and is now the Attorney General of Minnesota. He's a jihadi. He's a guy who beats up women. He's essentially a scumbag. And now Phil Haney, who was helping Laura do research on Keith Ellison, on Ilhan Omar, he's dead by gunshot.
That's the way it works now in this country. The people who are trying to better the country end up on a concrete slab, and these pimps, pedophiles, and perverts use their influence to stay out of jail, because it's my contention that the FBI and the Department of Justice is nothing better now than a protection racket.
Yeah.
So if these people can implicate other people who work the puppet strings of these agencies, they stay out of jail. Guys like Epstein. And people say, oh, wait a minute, Epstein went to prison and he died in prison. The guy was like on the loose for 15, 20 years. They knew about this guy. Nobody did anything about it.
Right.
So, like, that's a long time to be out raping women and trafficking little kids.
I'll
15,
say.
20 years. What the government knows about it, okay? And then there's Epstein. There's Weinstein, who got convicted this week. And how long was he on the loose for? I mean, the New York Times was going to do a story on him 15 years ago, the same kind of stuff, and they pulled back. And they said, nah, we're not going to do it. Well, the journalist who prepared the story was spiked. The story was killed. And like,
Dean
how many
McKay?
women did? No, it was before McKay. It's 10, 15 years ago. You know, these Hollywood types went to bat for him. At the New York Times, Ben Affleck and the other guy, Matt Damon, they went to bat for. Yeah, they went to bat for him and, you know, pressured the Times not to write the story. They said it was like politically motivated. Really? How many more women did he molest, sexually assault in that time, harass, you know, and now he's just being convicted. I mean, this guy's been on the loose for 20 plus years. Like, what's going on with these people? And then you got this other guy, Nygard. Today he was
right.
They raided his place over on Times Square, the fashion mogul.
Yeah.
And the feds let him get off the hook twice. 3 times if you include Department of Homeland Security. And that ties into Phil Haney. He was a DHS whistleblower. Look at this guy. He's like, who is this guy thinking he is?
Over here.
It's, you know, poor man's Ricardo Montalban.
Right.
But anyway, so yeah, there's lawsuits now out that, you know, he allegedly molested, sexually assaulted, trafficked young girls, 14, 15. Like, this guy's like, where they been? The feds looked at this guy twice, and then also Homeland Security looked at him and did nothing. I can't believe they did nothing. I think they probably got the information, and he was cooperating with them, and they said, all right, we'll cut you a break here. Just keep giving us more information. Where does all this information go, though, is what I want to know. When they lean on these people, where does all the information go? What do they do with it? They're not indicting other people. So
definitely
what do they do with it?
Indicting Andrew McCabe.
I think they sell it behind the scenes, and they broker it behind the scenes. Well, I think that they have people they answer to that take care of them financially, and I think that they sell it and they broker it. So the rich people, the people who control the puppet strings in D.C., can use it as leverage against other people to get people to do what they want, to get people to say what they want, to get people to vote like they want. And that's the only thing that makes any sense. That's why I call it a protection racket. This isn't about the Department of Justice has just become an information clearinghouse for the rich and famous. Does that make any sense?
Well, not only does it make sense, we're seeing it play out in real time. There's been just nothing done to Andrew McCabe. It seems like breaking the law, intimidating suspects, and abusing his power as the deputy director or the acting director of the FBI seems like a good way to get hired at CNN. Nothing else really happening to him. It looks like today Lindsey Graham is making some noise about, you know, wanting to.
Lindsey Graham, go back to sleep, Lindsey.
Exactly.
Go back to sleep. I don't want to drop any F-bombs on YouTube. You know, it'd be like a big scandal. But go back to F and sleep, Graham. I mean, the amazing thing about conservatives in this country is, I'm talking about people, is this guy has a track record, right, about as dependable as Bill Clinton at a, you know.
It's like a 1978 Renault.
No, I mean, yeah. He's got like the service record of a Ford Pinto, like Bill Clinton, you know, at a celibacy workshop. And he says what, and then he comes out and says one good thing, and the conservatives are so like desperate. They're like, oh, he's on our side. No, he's not. He's not on your side. Wake up. That's what I've been trying to tell people. What? How is he on your side? This guy is an institutional maggot. Not on your side. He was asshole buddies with John McCain for decades.
Yeah.
McCain is no friend of this country.
No.
You know, at the risk of alienating his wife and daughter, who have already blocked me recently on Twitter because I don't care if he's dead. He's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
So how is this guy any better? You know, and everybody, like, we don't do it anymore. We used to. Like, he comes out and says, what?
Well, Brian Carney is saying that Twitter has blocked this broadcast from Periscope. I can't, let me see if that's happening here on my Periscope. I've never heard about that before.
I told you there's a flaming arrow coming through the window at somebody today. I knew it. These guys, nothing. I don't put anything past these guys. Well, that's why we're on
It's
Patreon.
It's playing on Periscope.
All right, some guys got some guys literally got.
He comes out and says,
Yeah.
well,
some guys
Brian
got
Carney
some.
is saying that Twitter has
Sorry.
blocked this broadcast.
There we go.
This guy literally has 4 hamsters on a wheel for his internet, Carney. But anyway, but no, listen, I'm saying, Graham is no friend of yours, and we used to fall for this. He'd come out and say, "We're going to do an investigation on the FISA, and we're going to do an investigation on Hillary Clinton's emails." This is like this guy John Solomon's always running these stories that go nowhere, right? And everybody's like, Solomon wrote this, Solomon wrote this. Where's the story going? If I have to hear one more story about Uranium One or Hillary's emails, I hate to break the news to everybody out there, but the statute of limitations, the criminal statute, is way up on that stuff. It's gone. It's not coming back.
Not if it's RICO, but then somebody else said they're not going to do RICO.
RICO my ass. Come on. These guys can't put together a single count indictment against anybody in the government. They're going to put a RICO case together? Are you kidding me? Oh, I mean, this is getting crazy. It's the same folks who say, it's a sedition. They're going to charge her with treason. Are you insane? Are you what? It's not happening. It's just not going to happen, right? So they keep beating these stories to death where the statute is long gone. Hillary got away with the emails. That's over with, man. That is gone. Uranium One, all that stuff's gone. And soon, in 2021, right around the corner, all this stuff that went on during the Trump campaign, the spying.
Oh yeah, that'll be 5 years too.
You can kiss those goodbye too. They're going to run the clock out on that stuff. So if something started in 2016, the clock's already running right now on 2015. All this stuff started in 2015, okay? Around this time. So every day that there's not an indictment, they lose a day of the statute. So if I was working some kind of scheme, okay, in February 2015 to spy on Trump, right? And that's when it started. Every day now, the clock ticks. That's one less day I can be charged with, right? If it started in February, as a lot of people say it started around this time. If the election rolls around and no one's charged, guess what? Up until that point, everybody has a get out of jail free card. You have a get out of jail free card. Then if it goes past the election into 2021, who are you going to charge? With what? The statute, the criminal statute in this country is 5 years. Okay? Unless somebody comes up with some RICO scheme, some pie in the sky, Hallmark Channel bullshit. It's 5 years. I mean, these people are like
Hillary's first RICO conviction, the movie.
Yeah, it's getting ridiculous, right? Hillary is okay. Let's just look back. Sessions ran out the clock on a lot of this stuff. Did nothing. Huber did nothing. They ran the clock out. That's what they do. But we don't have to worry about it if we run the clock out. And the guys in the FBI are sitting back and saying, "Yo, we did all this work and the clock's ticking." It's like you turn an hourglass over and it's like the sand.
Not much
There's
left.
like this much sand left. And justice is saying, "Yeah, well, hey, stuff runs out, it runs out." And we don't have to worry about it. But so tell me that they're on your side again when they keep running the clock out. Don't you? I don't know if people understand. The clock is ticking now on the 2016, 2015, 2016.
That's the tick-tock that Hannity should be talking about.
Hannity with his TikToks. At least he's like a clock, right? A clock's right twice a day. It's like Hannity. He's right twice a day. This guy. Oh my God, the broken one's right twice a day. But I know. I mean, seriously, the clock is ticking. Not a lot of people realize that you just can't be charged for stuff you did 40 years ago, even 6-7 years ago. There's a federal statute of limitations. People say, "Hey, what's up with this? What's up with the statute of limitations? I've been looking around town. Where's the statute at?" The statute of limitations. There's no statute of limitations. And the clock's ticking. And they know this. The folks inside know this. And guys in the media know this. The guys on Fox know this. They won't tell you this, though, because it takes away from their stories.
Well, people get
then
mad,
someone
Mike.
is always going to jail.
I get some emails from time to time from people who are like, oh, you guys are being negative and you don't want to listen to this. But the fact of the matter is, why would you want to listen to somebody telling you something that's unrealistic and untrue versus someone who's laying it out in the way that you are? Because when you think about these things, the statutes of limitations and who's in there and whether or not there's a grand jury, that's a lot more sensible from an analysis point of view than just, every day saying something's going to happen.
It's a good point. And here's the point. If you listen to me and everything I said in the last 3 years, and I was your financial broker, you would be way up. Okay? If I was your broker,
right.
If you listen to me and everything
Making
I said
decisions based on this advice.
Yeah. If you listen to Hannity and that crew, you'd be bankrupt. Yeah. They're wrong every time. So if you don't know that by now, or you can't figure that out by now, or take a step back and say, yeah, this guy's right. And he's right most of the time, damn near all the time. Well, why doesn't he have a big platform? We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
What the last thing they want is a guy like me around saying, whoa. That $1 billion news operation you have where you're spewing a bunch of crap, that's a joke. Right? They don't want guys like me around telling people that. But it's very basic. If I need to keep telling you that you're watching these people and they're lying to you and you can't figure it out, then you probably shouldn't be listening to me in the first place because you're beyond help. I mean, it's pretty basic. And people can get mad at that. Okay, that's fine. Yeah. But what am I supposed to do? And what are people like there are other truth tellers out there saying, yo, this stuff doesn't add up. None of this stuff adds up. Like, why would you talk about a scandal where nobody conceivably by U.S. statute could be charged anymore? Right. Nobody could be charged for Hillary's emails. It's over.
And I wonder if Hannity was saying that. And I mean, I know that Trump watches Fox. I'm not sure that he watches More Pain on Patreon and Subscribestar. But perhaps if, the president were listening to what you're saying, maybe he'd have more of a sense of urgency in terms of either firing William Barr or getting somebody in the Justice Department who's going to do something. Mike, we have just a couple more minutes here on YouTube and Periscope and Facebook before we transition over to our sponsor-exclusive broadcast. And these sponsor-exclusive broadcasts are really important. It's the only source of income for Crowdsource the Truth, and it's a huge source of support for True Pundit. So I hope the people who watch and enjoy the show every week will join us on patreon.com/TruePundit, patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth, and subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth. In addition to all these things we've been talking about here, there's a lot more to talk about on the 10th episode of Mike's incredibly successful podcast, the Thomas Paine Podcast. Mike speaks to Robin Gritz and gets her reaction to Andrew McCabe basically being, paid to break the law, getting a job at CNN where he can continue to lie and basically get money for lying, which is what he did while he was at the FBI.
Can't even make this stuff up. We got another one coming out. We'll be breaking some news tonight on this show when we kick it over to the other platform, and then tomorrow I'll expand on it on a new episode of the podcast. But
that's become kind of the formula. I like that formula. So that way people who are sponsors,
like Tuesday, Wednesday.
They get it early, and then people can really dig into the details.
They get it early. Yeah, they get it early, and that's the whole point. I've been releasing a lot of stuff to sponsors only because it's like, hey, you have to understand in this business who butters your bread.
Right.
So it's like, thank you.
But the important thing is, Mike, the way you and I have set this up here, it's not like someone's walking in a room and saying, Mike, that story's not running. Because we've distributed the sponsorship over lots and lots of people sponsoring for small amounts, it eliminates the traditional problem of whoever it is that's signing the check being able to kill a story. This is a long-standing problem in the news business, isn't it?
Well, it drove me out of the news business my first round when I was working for mainstream media, and most journalists don't leave. They just go along with it. They acquiesce, like, oh, whatever, I'll just take the paycheck. And then you can't get good stories, and then you just go along to get along. And then what do you have at the end of the day? You have a mediocre media who shills for governments and big corporations, and that's all you end up with.
Right, so it's a much better way for people to get their news. People can also be reading truepundit.com. Great place to go every day, lots of breaking stories. Mike has got really unmatched sources and connections in the law enforcement arena, and a lot of good stories on there that we'll be talking about. So we'll give everybody just a few minutes to get over to patreon.com/truepundit, patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth, and subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth. Mike, I'll see you there.
Okay, my man. Looking forward to it.
Thanks for watching, everybody.